All right. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Hello Chaos, a weekly podcast where we explore the messy and chaotic lives of founders, entrepreneurs, and innovators. Hello Chaos is one of the many resources brought to you by Orange Whip. That's Orange Whip, WIP for work in progress. That's what we are. Orange Whip is a multimedia company dedicated to serving founders and entrepreneurs in affiliate cities through hyperlocal online platforms that are designed to inform, inspire, and create connections to help founders along their journey. Orange Whip is part storyteller, part how to guide, and navigator. We are the megaphone for founders telling real, raw, and honest stories, and why our mantra is where aha meets oh shit. That's right. My name is Jennifer Sutton, but my friends and family call me JJ. I am the founder of Orange Whip and your podcast host. We record live every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and publish on all podcast platforms on the following Sunday. This episode is actually we have our first sponsor. Is sponsored by the Upstate SC LGBT Chamber of Commerce. And they are the first and currently singular chamber of commerce focused on economic and social equality for LGBT plus business owners and founders in South Carolina. Today on our podcast, we welcome Latoya Dixon Smith. Woohoo!
Hi.
The co-founder of Blaze Group, owner of Greenville Boudoir, and we can talk about that in the pivot. But welcome, Latoya, to our 54th podcast.
Thanks, JJ. Thanks. I know you as Jennifer, but so hearing
You can
your
call me
nickname is
Jennifer, JJ. Yeah.
Okay.
So whatever makes you comfortable.
Okay.
So Latoya, I mean, you and I were in a program called the Minority Business Accelerator back in 2018, and I have seen your journey as a founder just evolve. Pretty exciting over the last that's 5 years, going in
Yeah.
6 years.
Mhm.
So tell me, where are you now? Where you're in a pivot moment.
Yes.
So talk to me about that.
Yes, I'd be happy to. So this makes all the sense in the world that I'll be on a podcast called Hello Chaos because I'm teetering between two different organizations. So currently, I am the owner of Greenville Boudoir, which is a pleasure studio and boudoir photography company based in Greenville here. I started that. Oh goodness, it was
Was
over
it 29
4 years ago now.
was like 2019?
Yeah.
Because it was like right before it was a year before the whole pandemic. I mean,
Yes.
you guys went like wildfire when you launched that. It was
Yeah.
like because you guys got featured in, I mean, you guys were on HBO.
Yes. Yes.
Um, I mean, I know I talked to a bunch of other photographers and they were like, "Man, Latoya hit a very empty gap."
Yeah. And it's been an amazing experience, opportunity, and just a learning, like a pivotal learning part of my journey as well as just like a woman and just owning my sensuality and just being more comfortable inside my body. So that all of that from like a very um just a very human aspect was like a really great part of my founder journey.
Yeah.
Even when we did the Minority Business Accelerator program, I was with a whole other company at that time. That's what
Right.
I was had an organization for Black women photographers, and so you'll see over time, each iteration it kind of builds up next, and it makes sense where I'm headed. So July 1st is actually my first day full time with this company called Blaze Group
What
LLC. And
okay. And
we are an ed tech firm for Black women entrepreneurs.
okay, so an ed tech firm, specifically for is it Black founders, Black female? I mean, is it uh,
Black women entrepreneurs. So
just
any
Black? Okay,
founder that is a Black woman. And we
okay,
specifically focus on our demographic of Black women. In particular, there are a lot of organizations when you talk about, these demographics that you support in minority groups traditionally versus women of color. So
hmm
Black women is the largest growing demographic of founders in the country, period.
yep,
So there is a significant growth in this market. So we really want to focus on, not only the cultural aspect of what it's like to be a Black woman entrepreneur, but
Mhm.
giving access to those resources a lot sooner than you typically would have. Um, which is part of the reason why I'm so invested in Blaze, is because my journey as a founder has had its twists and turns, ups and
Mhm.
downs, and a lot of those resources that we are providing, access to is coming a lot sooner in the first 3 years, as opposed to like where I am, 10 years later, and I'm like still learning some very key and critical things when it comes to like how do I actually grow my business.
That's right. And that, with Orange Whip, as one of our editorial tenets is to be both diverse and inclusive. And, and looking at the barriers that minority groups and communities face, especially within the, Black founders and Black female founders, is, you know, the three top areas: self-confidence and lack of funding, like just the ability
Hmm.
uh, to know where to access, but also how to pitch and all that. And
Absolutely.
then the resources that we, just not networked and not having the access to the right and not having and that self-confidence to know, what do I ask? What
Mm,
do I need to know before I walk into that room? What do I need to know the differences between, these organizations? Who's gonna be my safe ally? Um,
absolutely.
and so, so I love that your, your evolution of your journey, because I've seen you, and I'm very envious of how you've uh, really kind of blossomed like that. Um, just the self confidence and you spoke about just the power of knowing and owning yourself. Did
Mhm.
that come from the boudoir experience and just helping other women on that journey, or was that something that's why you started the boudoir?
I feel like it's been innate. I give a lot of credit to my parents for instilling a lot of values around just being very competent and like my skill set and confident in my own abilities. But when it comes to like articulating and owning it, I feel like the part of my boudoir photography journey definitely takes a lot of credit for that,
Yeah.
because a lot of the things that I wanted to launch and offer to my own clients were things that I needed for myself as well. I didn't really know it at the
Mm,
time. Um, a lot of the trainings that I did when it comes to like embodying yourself, getting out of your head and into your body. As
mm,
founders, it is our job to think, years into the future about like where we envision our companies and how we want to grow and who we want to serve. Like we're constantly asking ourselves questions and
mm.
asking our teams questions, and they're asking us questions,
Right.
right? And so there there isn't a lot of opportunity unless we are very intentional about it to really just allow like all of the highs, the lows, the moments of celebration, and even just the moments where we just didn't quite hit our targets, to really feel what that's like,
Mm,
in um that's kind of been a little overwhelming, but it's absolutely what I've needed to kind of even be where I am today, saying, you know what, um I'm coming into something completely new, and it's
yeah.
scary. And I'm like, it's scary, but it's also very exciting. And then that allows me to look at it. It's like, okay, well, nerves and, excitement, they're kind of like the same thing. It's
Yeah.
just the perspective you take on, what you do after you've experienced that. So I would say definitely like that experience has been very pivotal in, allowing me to kind of make sense of like what I knew, but I didn't really like know in my
Right.
body.
Are you gonna straddle and run both, the Greenville Boudoir and, Blaze Group, or saying goodbye to are you saying goodbye officially to the Greenville Boudoir?
I am,
Oh my
Jennifer. I
goodness.
am. So this is where
So
that's where I'm at now. I'm like in the middle of like I have it. We have our final event on June 25th at Infinity Ballroom here in Greenville. It's going to be a lingerie party, actually. So that'll be
Yeah.
fun. Invite all your friends. You're all welcome to come. But I'm that's like my sunset. That's kind of the closure that I'm getting with the Greenville Boudoir era, so that I can really like fully devote my time, effort, and energy into Blaze. And I think that it's bittersweet for sure. We
Yeah.
had
I mean, so
a
you
set.
you're not gonna hand it off to somebody. I mean, you're literally closing the doors.
I
It
am, and
is a
maybe one day we'll see. But at my decision today is that it's a chapter that I want to close for now,
yeah, and
um,
celebrate and,
and celebrate. Yeah.
yeah. So how does that now that you're getting closer to that date, how are you feeling? What is
It's exciting. It's exciting because there's a lot that I still don't know. Like I'm literally coming into a whole new world. I just got off the phone with a woman who is going to be my mentor through this process because
well,
my role in Blaze as head of product is very tech focused, and I've never been a product manager. I'm coming out of a space where it's really just been like me, like as a solopreneur. I've
right.
have contractors who supported me, um but I'm in such a great space to just learn and still be in that student's mentality, while also owning heavily the fact that I have a lot of like I bring a lot to the table.
Yeah.
And the team that I will be with, I'm a part of 3 co-founders with Blaze.
Okay.
And so I'm really excited to kind of add to what's already been happening that's been amazing. And also share in like what I can envision for the future in terms of the products that we create.
So talk to me about now Blaze and how did you meet the other founders and what was that process like to then determine your head of product? But when you've got co-founders together, it's like sometimes it's either match made in heaven or it's a disaster. So how
Yeah.
are you entering into this relation? How did you find these relationships?
Right. Okay. So the one of our co-founders and the CEO of Blaze, her name is Casey Richardson. She's actually my college freshman roommate.
Oh,
Yeah. So it's so funny how life works. We
that's
were
right.
two like 18-year-old girls just, doing our best to get through the honors college at the University of South Carolina, and who knew that, today we would be co-founders of the same company. So she started Blaze a few years ago, during the pandemic, actually.
Wow.
And a lot of, she took her talents from working in corporate banking at Bank of America and
Okay.
decided to really utilize and leverage those skills in developing these corporate loans for other companies. And so it's just kind of evolved over time. Our third co-founder is Hannah White, who is an amazing woman who she's done a lot of things too. She's actually about to graduate with her graduate degree. She's currently in London. So we're actually in 3 different continents right now too, which
Oh
is
my
really cool.
goodness.
Yeah.
Where's Katie?
Casey, she
Or
is in
Casey?
Nairobi. Yeah, she's in Nairobi, Kenya. So she
Oh my
lives there now.
so you're right,
Um,
3 different
3 different
Oh
continents.
my goodness.
So
That's exciting.
it is. It's always fun because I wake up to like our Slack notifications, and they've all had like conversations throughout the day, and I'm just waking up like, oh my gosh, like I've missed out on like a whole day of work. But it's all good. It's again, it's a part of that process of like I've never been on a international team before either. Like
Right.
those are the different challenges that I'm like kind of having to relearn like how to work with multiple different teams, but also multiple different teams in different parts of the world.
Yeah.
Um,
How many people are on the team that you're coming into?
we have 5 people total on
Okay.
our team.
Okay. And then So you got to come in and go, okay, now I'm a co-founder. How did you guys differentiate or define your roles and whose decisions are what? I'm always curious about that.
Yeah, so I was invited on. Casey and I had been talking before she did a retreat in Cape Town, South Africa last
Hmm.
year in October that I went to. And we had kind of been talking about, you have a
Was that the
question?
was that the trip that you took that you had come back? I saw you speak at a women's entrepreneur event, and you had just talked about coming back from this transformation, like
Yes,
transformative. Was that the one that
that
you?
was the one.
Okay, okay.
Yes,
I'm
that
sorry.
was
That's
the
what
one.
that was the one. Oh,
That was the
so you
one.
got to reconnect with your roommate
I
and
did. I
old.
got to
Okay.
reconnect with her there. Get to meet some of Blaze's customers and just be immersed in that experience, but even
Mm.
just to learn more about the company then, because we didn't even have a conversation about, hey, you want to come on as co-founder? Like that was not even like on the table at that point.
Right.
And so I think because Casey just intimately knows like me as a person, she's seen my journey and my trajectory as well.
Hmm.
When the invitation came, it was just aligned. um, I do have background in, technology in operations, and so that just kind of made sense for me to kind of own products where I do a lot of the same things that I've been doing when I was at GE in project management
Right.
and operations, and just coming up with these solutions. And a lot of these solutions are still like developing today, right? Like we, with AI being like such
Uh,
a heavy on a lot of our conversations as business
hmm.
owners, like there's still a lot of things that are new that I feel like it, because of the way that I operate and I like to just kind of get in there and like learn as I go,
Yep.
it makes sense for me to be in a technology role that is constantly evolving as well. Casey, she's the closer. Like she comes from the world of corporate banking. She knows how to get the money. She knows how to close the
Okay.
deal. So it makes sense for her operating still in that executive role. And then Hannah, she is amazing at strategy and
Mm.
asking the right questions and thinking about it from all types and points of views. And so the roles that we hold today just really are a great fit. And I think it was Casey's intuitive um, wisdom as like the CEO making those decisions and kind of saying, hey, I think you'd be a great fit for this role. Like, would you like to join a team? And it was an immediate yes for me. Like it
Yeah.
was just a no
You're
brainer.
like, "No." So what's Blaze's revenue model? Is it your clients that are Black female founders? Is it like a subscription service? Is it a mentorship? Like how coaching? Like what is that revenue model?
Yeah, that's a great question. So currently, our signature product, our MVP, is our Blaze Knowledge Academy.
Okay.
So the Blaze Knowledge Academy, it targets Black women founders in their first 3 years of business.
Okay.
Those are very critical. And
Very.
the Blaze Knowledge Academy exists to kind of give you that grounding foundational knowledge of not just how to identify a viable concept and business
Mm.
model, but also like taking you through like how to, get those first few customers. How do you structure your finances to ensure that you're actually making a profit?
Right.
All the things that we need to know that sometimes we just kind of find out later when
Well,
we're kind
well,
of
like
like
you.
under the gun.
Well, like MBA, I was what 7, 8 years into the business before I took, and that's how a lot of us, a lot of us are. Of it's sometimes a decade, or we had people in the class that have been in business for 20 years, and we're
Right.
in tears. Remember in our that we're like in
Mhm.
tears because they're like, God, I feel like I've waited. This is information I wish I would have had 20 years ago. What a
Absolutely.
difference it could have made. So I love that you guys are. So is it okay? I want to be a part of this. I want to get access to these like courses. And
Yes.
okay,
And then our second product is our Table and Tribe app. So
Oh,
We have an app that's available on the Apple and Android stores, and it's free to get on the app. And then we also have these different resources and tools that can be accessed for $5 a month. Things like a pitch deck, things like
okay.
prompts, for Chat GPT,
Right.
how to, do your P&L statements and things like that. So a lot of the things that, are very great resources to have,
Mhm.
that are not quite as so the difference between like the Blaze Knowledge Academy and then our Table and Tribe app is that there is the community aspect in the app.
Okay.
So anyone who joins the app is a part of our community. We can message each other through the app. We also have co-working hours. We have coaching sessions that are available, and then also our fractional C-suite is another offering that we have.
Okay. And that's where you're the fractional COO that
I
you come into
am.
play. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So it's almost like a little private, LinkedIn group, but it's in an app where, people again can feel that safe conversations, those questions, they feel like they're getting the right guidance, um, and those resources. And so it's free, but you're saying little things are in there. They might be minimal charges, but it's really about building the community.
Absolutely. And
Okay.
that's really our goal with Blaze is to not only envision, but to create an ecosystem for Black women entrepreneurs where, a lot of the things that we kind of face when it comes to, as you mentioned, like the funding or
Hmm.
just like, what do I even put in a pitch deck?
Right.
What information is needed before I go out and to apply for these loans? Like, it's just the very foundational things that are often missed. And what we found is through one of our partnerships with Kiva, actually, they provide interest-free loans
Hmm.
for our founders. But one of the things that we found is that a lot of these companies don't know like what those gaps are, and because this is literally what we do, like we know the gaps exist, and so we exist to fill in those gaps, to educate, and to also provide access to those resources while also
Okay.
cultivating this whole ecosystem of our entrepreneurs as well.
Yeah. It almost sounds like Orange Whip. We're just trying to do that at the local level.
Okay,
Right?
awesome. See, it's so
It
necessary,
it
right?
is. It is. It's amazing the gaps,
Hmm.
that we see. Um, so as you're kind of entering into this space, how long have you kind of been toe dipping into Blaze? Has it been just a few months or
It's been a few months.
okay?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
July 1, it's like a switch. And
Yep.
is it global? I mean, if you guys being, all around the world, you guys are serving founders all over.
We are.
Okay.
Now the majority of our audience in our community is US based,
Okay.
and a lot of our solutions make more sense for US founders.
Okay.
And that is a goal for us, is to, understand different markets, global markets more effectively, to be able to offer, some right size, right fit solutions for them as well.
Okay.
But for the majority of it, our base is in the US.
Are you seeing it, I mean, US Black female founders, do they have different issues than those that are in Europe or in other parts of the world? Or is it there's more thematic of the same?
So I'll give you an example. We were literally just talking about this. So one of our management consulting clients is a company that offers loans to farmers in Africa.
Okay.
And so the solution that they have created is mobile tech. And this is because in that part of the world, people are basically like sending money via their phones
Mm,
more often than not. And so when we think about our solutions that we have, so like the Blaze Knowledge Academy is hosted on a platform called Podia.
okay.
Um, and while you can access that on your phone, it's not as like the solution isn't really like a very mobile heavy solution, right? Our
Okay.
app is more that.
Okay.
So future state, maybe, we create more mobile solutions that are a better fit. But because our main MVP right now is our Blaze Knowledge Academy, and
That's
we
on more
have,
desktop or it's not an
yes,
okay,
it's
okay,
it's it's more like learning. The Blaze Knowledge Academy. It's about building a competence as a new founder.
okay. Is there a certification part of that, or is that something that's uh, in the future, or what's the goals there?
We have considered things like certifications, and I know that's actually part of our roadmap to kind
Hmm.
of figure out like where we would like to go with that. I believe that us being more tech focused would also kind of help differentiate ourselves from anyone else in our market.
Yeah.
So that's more attractive as well. But yeah,
Do you have competitors yet? Are you guys the only one in this space?
we are the only ones that I am aware of that are um, industry agnostic, but also for Black women
Okay.
founders. So there are others, that kind of do similar things like Digital Undivided, Hello Alice, but it's more like women as a whole, or
Right.
there are some other funds like I Fund Women of Color
Right.
that offer, options and alternatives for women of color. But ours, because it is specifically for Black women founders, that's one differentiator. And also like our solutions are a little different too.
Hmm. What are the differences like between the iFund women that have all those access? What do you guys bringing to the table that's different?
That's a great question. Ooh,
I'm
these are some good
sorry.
questions. These
You
are
got,
some
I'm
amazing.
curious. I'm curious. It's like because
Yeah,
I love what you're doing because it's very uh, symbiotic to what we're doing. I mean, complete alignment, but just different.
yeah,
You guys are focused in one niche audience. We're focused in the same niche, but yeah, so I'm learning to make sure that
hmm.
have we done what we need to do.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
gotcha. No, it's just I think um, that's a part of my job is to really understand and figure out like what are the right solutions for our audience.
yeah,
And it's not a question, it's not an answer that I have today. It's something that I'm cultivating, but I think one of the main differences, like for instance, when think about like I Fund Women or even other funds, like we are not a fund.
right.
We are an education platform. So
Okay.
maybe connecting you to that fund is, a part of our strategy. But today, that's something that's different from us than like some of these other companies that have a focus on like reaching a niche audience,
Yeah.
specifically for Black women. And then again, we are part of our pillars at the moment is we've got the capital, so we've got that partnership with Kiva to where we can endorse Black women founders to get supported through those interest-free loans, and we've got partnerships with other companies. So really just
Making the
building the
connections.
ecosystem and making the
Yeah.
connections while also providing the education, giving the resources, uh, showing where you can go to get the money for this, but really just trying to um, give as much exposure to like how do I really develop myself as a business owner.
Okay.
um yeah.
Yeah, that's what we hear that a lot. I was just going to ask you that of what are you hearing like the desire of where am I lacking? Um, and we hear a lot of like I don't have that CEO mindset. How do I get a CEO mindset? What are you hearing within the Black female founder?
Yeah. The thing is, we've got a lot of amazing ideas, just not a lot of time and resources to do it. How do I get more money? How do I do more with the limited amount of time that I have? And which is why, the fractional C-suite is a solution that we've also provided, because if you are in the trenches and you are working on your day-to-day operations, it's hard to think about like where your company is going. We
Right.
talked about that even in
That's
our
right.
program. It's like you have to step outside of the business at some point to really work on the business instead of
Right.
working in the
You,
business.
you got to make time to plan. You just
Yeah,
gotta make the time to
exactly.
plan. Yep, yeah.
Mhm.
So is it when they come in, you guys are coaching that to go, "We can come in and help you." So
Yes. So
yeah.
we're saying we're coming to your table. We're bringing you three executive
Mm,
leaders who are really amazing at operations, amazing at finance, amazing at strategy. These are all things that you as a CEO probably already are doing, but because you are stretched in so many different directions, we really want to bring like some really uh groundbreaking knowledge and experience to the table to help you kind of further that trajectory for yourself so that you aren't just stuck in the day to day.
yeah.
Because it's really hard. Like I know
Oh.
I'm in it right now. I'm in it right now. I'm like, okay, what do I need to do today?
That's
And then
right.
if I can get through today,
I'll
I'll
be
be
good.
okay.
I just had that conversation with myself about an hour ago. I'm like, "You just
Yeah.
gotta get through the day." Um, what are you most excited about as you pivot into this new step into this new world?
um, the biggest thing is just being immersed and like learning something new. I'm
Mm.
such a nerd, like in every sense of the word, Jennifer. Like I really am. Like I'm like, oh, like I want to learn how to do that. Like, let's go. That's the biggest like selfish thing I would say is just like learning something new, being a part of something different than what I've been doing for a while. But also I think because Blaze has such a grand vision,
Mhm.
that's why I said it was a no-brainer because, every iteration of my journey has been community, support, resources, access. And it's
Mhm.
been with these even smaller niche communities, Black women photographers,
Right.
or, women who want to like, own their sensuality, or,
Right.
wherever that journey has gone. And so for me to kind of come to a place where I can utilize like my skills and my experience with something that has a vision that is so much more greater than me and greater than what I could even conceptualize on my own, but come together with a team and to just, you know, blow our own minds really
Right.
of like what's possible. That's exciting.
That's so what are you gonna miss the most with Green Boudoir? Kinda closing that chapter. What are you gonna miss the most?
Oh, Mm, so I want to say I'm gonna miss having the conversations with our clients. Like
Mm,
those are some really intimate conversations we get to have in the studio. But at the same time, I don't really. It's not that I won't be able to have them anymore. It just won't be with the sorry, with
taking
the
their
camera.
pictures. Yeah.
Yeah, taking their pictures. That's literally the only difference. And I think I needed to see that for myself as well,
Mm,
that, Latoya, you can still be just as effective in what your own mission, which is, just to be able to free myself and to allow myself to experience the fullness and the richness of life without having to assign myself to a certain career or role.
right.
If I can give myself permission to pivot and move and to kind of like flow through my experience and allow like um different opportunities to show up and still be able to do the same thing, like why not? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like it's beautiful, and I feel like it's allowed me to stay even more open-minded,
Yeah.
because I can get pretty rigid, when you've
Yeah.
started something, you put your blood, sweat, money, and tears
That's
into
right.
it. It's hard to let go. So it's going to take something really compelling and something really um, aligned to your purpose to get you to come out of that. And I'm fortunate and grateful that I have. And I just have to shift my perspective a bit.
Yeah. I
Um,
I also noticed, I don't know if this is purposeful, if you've done this intentionally, but, for those that, uh, can listen or, go to Latoya Dixon Smith on Instagram, your b the branding of yourself, as soon as you kinda announced your pivot, I also noticed the change in how you were, doing your board, your wall on Instagram and how
Mhm.
you're delivering your content. It is stunning.
Oh, thank you.
Coming from a branding person and a
Oh, that
marketing
makes my heart
person,
sing.
I was like, "Whoa." I mean, even just that and I don't know if it's intentional, but it felt intentional to me as soon as you made that announcement, and that's what caught my attention of, "Oh, you know, this is like she's actually moving to a different role, like different company, and the visuals even were apparent to the change and the way that
Mm.
you were delivering content. I love the black and white. I don't know if if that was intended. And is that Latoya's personal brand identity or was that Blaze?
That's totally Latoya.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna just say shout out. People need to go look at that. But the way you've done the styling of your reels and your video, it kind of went, oh my gosh, I need to do that. I mean, Breakco has its own brand and Orange Whip has its, but I don't really have an identity for myself, and it made me think, oh, maybe I need to do that for myself because it was very inspirational.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
and I appreciate that. So yeah, that's why I was just going to ask you to go, man, that's good. It's good stuff. Are you going to continue with that?
I think so. And
Okay.
I'll tell you, I'll give you a little like peek into kind of how that came about. Um, I just found that when I wanted to express myself, I was still putting myself in a box, and like I really needed to take myself outside and
Hmm.
really think about like how does Latoya communicate?
Yeah.
Like how do people receive me? Like what does my voice even sound like? Like not my physical voice,
Yeah.
but like what do I
What?
sound like and how do I
Right.
like to show up? And so I think it was just trial and error, to be honest with you.
Hmm.
I actually started with like a very colorful, bright sort of
Yeah.
thing. And then I was like, it still doesn't feel like how I am like at my core.
Right.
The black and white and with like kind of like the bold
The very bold and very close up.
typeface.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is. Uh, it is so just stunning.
Thank
Like I
you.
and but at the same time very elegant.
Mm,
It's a um I don't know, quiet strength is
mm,
how
yes.
I would describe that.
Yes. And so I wanted the focus to be more so on like what I was saying and not necessarily how I was delivering it. Because when I started to do that for myself, I got very distracted
Mm,
and even frustrated, even. So when I kept it very simple, when I kept it very like intentional about like the message that I was delivering and cut out all the extra things that were kind of distracting to me as the person delivering this message, that's kind of what I landed at. And it's
okay.
very, it doesn't, it feels a lot more effortless.
Yeah. Does the 2 other founders are they just as active with their content, um, strategy on social, or
No, I think that's just a Latoya
that's a
thing.
Latoya thing? Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. It's good. You're bringing the gift of your
Thank you.
of your
Thank you.
photography skills. Um, so, uh, when you look back, I'm just like, through your journey, our motto with Orange Whip is where aha meets oh shit, right? So when you look back across the last, several years, what were your biggest aha moments? And what were your biggest oh shit? Like, oh my God, what have I done?
Mm. Aha moments, definitely in realizing the power of not only my voice but also my presence
Mm,
and how that affects people and what that inspires and motivates them to do or like how they respond, how they react in general. It's just
right.
really like knowing myself has been a journey of like knowing how I affect others and like what I say and how I say it, how intentional it comes across.
Mm,
Even just you witnessing, the fact that my social media presence has changed and how I deliver that. Like that to me, like that feedback is very valuable for me.
mm.
And I think one of the oh shit moments is definitely in that um Latoya, um, even though like I have like amazing, great ideas, I still need some structure. Like part of like being able to be free to dream and to kind of like roam in your own head, so to speak,
Mm,
is to know like what those constraints or like the guidelines to like getting you there, because you can get lost. Like you can go
mm,
completely left if you're not, if you don't check like your goals, if you don't, stay true to your values.
mm.
It's easy to kind of get distracted. There's a lot of stuff happening, not only just in the online space, but just like in our world every day. So
That's
it can
right.
be easy to get distracted. So knowing that with all of the space and the freedom that I desire and that I crave and that I need in order to be effective in the roles that I sit in or that I operate in, I still need that structure, whether it be the structure of a budget,
Mhm,
the
mhm.
structure of
Like
the
the S
structure.
gap, right?
Oh my goodness, yes.
Building your own S gap.
Yes, the structure of like how much time you're committing to something, and like what is
Mm,
the ROI? What is your
right.
return on it? Like, is it worth it even doing? And sometimes, when you, like I said, when you are like invested because you have spent that time, you spent that money, and your ego kind of like takes that front seat of it. It's like, no, I don't
Mhm.
want to give up on this because I put too much in. But when
Right.
you really, as a business owner, there are those times when we have to like really check ourselves about like why we're even doing this in the first place.
Yep.
Is it to prove a point about you as a person, or is it to really like offer the solutions and the um in the services and the products that we
Right.
offer
Like, who are you serving?
to make the impact? Yeah, like
Right.
what is your impact here?
Mm. What so where do you go for inspiration? What inspires you?
Mm. Ooh, you've got like the best questions, I'm telling you. Um, what inspires me? Just envisioning a future of things that I wish that I had.
Mm,
Um, I feel like at every single point that's something that I've tried to create is something that I wish that I had when I was at this place in my journey.
that's good.
Um, and I wish it were I wish it were something a little bit deeper than that, but I think that it's very simple. It's
Yeah.
very, very simple. And I think the more I simplify like what it is that I want and what it is that I want for myself and for my community, the clearer it is like what I'm supposed to be doing or
Right.
what I feel that I want to kind of devote myself to, like whatever sort of um
It's your new
mission that
purpose.
is. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
reimagining it. Like it's always been the same. It
Mm,
just changes and it becomes more clear to me every single time that those opportunities come up, that okay, if
yeah.
this is in alignment with like what you've always been doing, and if it makes sense. And a lot of the times like that's my metric. Like, does it make sense? If it
Yeah.
makes sense, then okay.
Are there people that you look to for inspiration, or books, or other podcast, or anything like, what's your go-to?
Go-tos.
Or,
I don't have any go-to podcasts, but I will say that I
this
do
should be
have a
one.
lot of.
This should be
What's
one.
that?
I said this should be
This
one.
one? Yes. Yes, Hello Chaos. No, but honestly, that's really it, right? The podcasts that I do listen to are stories,
Yeah,
because you won't ever know, you won't ever be in business if you don't really know like the story of the person who you're trying to help.
that's right. That's right.
And so a lot of the things that I read though are really just foundational, like just making sure that at a very basic
Mm,
level. So I was looking back on my
you're
bookshelf,
the
Atomic Habits, 4 Hour
Okay.
Work Week. Like I like those things because they kind of help me stay grounded. These aren't like new um books either. Like
That's right.
they've been out for a while. So um I think for me those types of things are very grounding, in that I don't get swept up in like what the latest and newest trend is.
Yeah.
But if I stay grounded in like what I know that I want for myself, which
Mm,
is to kind of not put the pressure to like be an overnight success, but like incrementally build on to, certain habits and, ways that I take care of myself, take care of my family, my finances, the
Mm.
things that I care about. Um, and making sure that I don't create a life that I have to like try to escape from ever. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Where you have to apologize
Um,
for, right? Yeah.
right, right. I don't want to do that. So I
Yeah.
want to, especially as I'm going into a new role, like I want to start off the way that I want it to be. Like I don't want to have to
Mm.
create something for myself that I will have to burn down to the ground. Like I want every part of this, every part of this journey to be intentional about like what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And that's not always going to be the case, but for the parts that I am more aware of and that I have control of, I want to be, make some smart decisions about that.
Yeah. Would you do anything differently if you look back across, the last 5, 8 years? Anything you'd do differently if you hit rewind?
No, I've watched enough of those like time travel movies and shows. Like, you don't want to change anything because you don't know what you're gonna mess up. So I think as is, I'm good. I think that, one of the things that comes up more often is like, man, I wish I would have trusted myself more
Mhm.
then, but I didn't know what I didn't know.
That's
And
right.
now that I know that it's not always about what you do know, it's like, what are you willing to figure out?
That's right. Is so what do you think are the biggest things, like, had you known now what if you could have known that 5 years ago,
Hmm.
like founder to like for other founders, what did
Right.
you wish you would have known?
I wish I would have allowed myself to dream like as big as possible.
Mm,
Um, when I go, when I've gone into business, it's been like, okay, how do I create a business? But
yeah.
what I was really doing was creating a job for myself.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Okay.
a- and so if I 5 years ago, if I would have been like, okay, like this is great and you are solving a problem, but like what is a bigger like North Star vision for you and what you want to help
Mm,
people with? Like I feel like that would have, one, saved me a lot of money from
right.
like investing into different things, just trying to like trying things out. And that's this
Right.
is I keep saying this because this is a common theme for me. But it's honest, right? Like
Right.
you to put yourself into your business like you and to want it to be successful, you kind of have to go all in.
Yep.
And sometimes you don't know until you go all in and you realize, oh wait, like it didn't turn out how I wanted it to, or you needed more resources than you asked for because you
Right.
didn't think you needed that much. And it's like always ask for more than you need,
That's
you
right.
know
That's right.
um but you just don't know what you don't know until you've gone through it. And I think that's part of my process and my journey that I'm even like making peace with, is that not beating myself up too much about what I didn't
Mm-mm.
know 5 years ago.
That's right.
Um, but I will say that even if I had dreamt bigger at that stage, um, I probably would have like made even like bigger leaps,
Mm,
and been unafraid to. But I didn't feel comfortable doing that then because I
right.
felt like I was risking too much.
Risking too much in terms of, like, money, or risking too much of, like, yourself, of putting yourself
A
out
little bit
there?
of it, all of it, all of it.
Yeah.
It's when you really put yourself out there and you put everything on the line,
Yeah.
it's scary, it's vulnerable, it's like I don't want people to see me fail.
Right.
It's
Oh, yeah.
you don't want to let people down. I've got two kids, so
Yeah.
like, what I do matters.
That's right. Yeah.
Not only for the kids but for my husband too, but also, there are a lot of people watching.
Mm.
And people are always telling me, Latoya, I see you, I'm so proud of you. And so
Mhm.
sometimes, you take on that burden of responsibility of I don't want to let these people down. But then I
Mm.
think over the past year, what has really come to light for me is like, Latoya, you will never let other people down if you do what you do for yourself, what you
That
need to do for yourself.
ooh, that's good. We need to
Don't let
put
yourself down.
that's right.
Yeah.
We need to put that on a pillow.
Yes. Don't
Okay,
let
well,
yourself down.
don't let yourself down. Well, like you said, like be self-aware, come in
Hmm.
and do what you feel. But it is really hard for females, minority communities to really kind of find themselves and have that confidence. It is well, and then just in founders in general, the imposter syndrome is real. It's
Yeah, for sure. And I think too, like especially as a Black woman, one of the things that there's a lot of unlearning that I have to do. I think as
Mhm.
women, there's a lot of unlearning that we have to do, um, to not feel that when we show up to a space that we have to always like prove ourselves and to,
Mm,
really show that we know what we're talking about so that people will take us seriously. And because when we do that, there's this like invisible shield that we put up
that's right.
for ourselves. Like there's no way like who we really are can really come through when we are always having to like look over our shoulder or
Mhm.
make sure that we think like 10 steps ahead of the next question that's going to be asked, because we don't want to seem like we don't know what we're talking about, or that we're
Right.
weak, or that we're whatever, the descriptor is. There's a lot
Yeah,
of pressure in that. And so, man, if that were non-existent, who knows like how far any of us could really go,
that's
you know?
right. But I think that's a good, like, you hear a lot, you need to unlearn and then relearn and then keep
Hmm.
learning. Like it is a never ending. Um, and you have to be really open to it because not only are you starting a company and kind of lead, but you're also influencing clients, business, your team, and growing. And it's unlearn, relearn. Um,
Yes.
Latoya, how do you want people to engage with you and learn more about yourself and Blaze?
Yeah, so you are spot on with recommending my Instagram. It's at Latoya Dixon Smith, Latoya Dixon Smith. I have Blaze's Instagram linked in my bio if you want to go check out what
Okay.
we're doing there as well. But more so than anything, I just want people to be a part of the conversation. Like I said, conversations and sharing of stories is the best way for us as fellow founders,
Mm-hmm.
to connect. It's not always going to be a connection over what the next referral is going to be. It's the connection of like, what am I going through? Like, hello chaos. Like, what is the
Yeah.
chaos today?
Right.
The chaos is going to change. What is today's
How
chaos?
do we welcome it? How
Yeah.
do we
How do we
organize it?
welcome it?
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, well, that's great. We're out of time. I knew this was going to be fast, and I think we took longer than. But I love the conversation, Latoya. It was so good to catch up with you.
You too,
Um,
Jennifer.
but always amazed at what you bring, and I'm gonna miss seeing the pictures of Greenville Boudoir and all the people. I mean, like those the brave women that are have the confidence. Then, and I know they have the confidence because of what you brought to the table. You brought that inner confidence out in these women. So I'm excited to see you continue your journey at Blaze Group with
Thank you.
Black female founders. So thanks for hanging out with us. And
My pleasure.
so for everyone listening or watching us live, thank you for joining us. This podcast, just to remind you, will be published this coming Sunday and will be available on all past podcast platforms, whether it's Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen. You can also subscribe to Hello Chaos. Like, comment, share on this great content. Help us grow up and build a more connected entrepreneurial community. Hello Chaos is one of the many resources brought to you by Orange Whip. Orange Whip is a multimedia company dedicated to serving founders and entrepreneurs in affiliate cities through our hyper local online platforms. We are a one stop content hub for a founder, part storyteller, part how to guide, and local navigator with a filterable resource directory, a curate events calendar, and a social media chatter wall. We are in 3 markets today in South Carolina, Columbia, Greenville, Charleston, and our goal is to expand in 30 markets in 5 years. So subscribe to our newsletter and our content. We'd love to, again, build our community. It's important. we're all founders. We need to lean on each other. If you'd also like to be a guest on our podcast, head over to Orange Whip. Again, that's orangewhip.com. Fill out the form on the Hello Chaos page. And while you're there, again, subscribe to our content. We are ad supported through sponsored native content. It's free, accessible, and inclusive. And thanks for joining us today. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor, email us at hello@orangewhip.com. Again, this podcast was brought to you by the Upstate LGBT Plus Chamber, and we look forward to hearing more about the Upstate Chamber to come on Orange Whip. Thanks for tuning in to Hello Chaos. Again, it's where AHA meets oh shit. I am your host, Jennifer Sutton, signing off. We'll see you next week. Thanks, Latoya.